the hell is this?
What are you doing now?
I don't know. This is acting stupid.
Well, we're live, but I'm not sure what you're doing back there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. My name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer who created the Oswald Chronicles. And this week we're on, and this is Of Mice and
Wolves, ow! This is the show where we help workshop indie creator issues that they may be experiencing in the industry. So without further ado, why don't we bring on our guests? Hello, Kevin. Can you introduce yourself and tell the good people what it is you do? You're on mute, sir.
I was trying not to mess up that intro, and here I go messing up the outro. I'm Kevin Joseph. I'm the writer and co-creator of a time-traveling demon hunter series called Tart, and just appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. Grant, how you doing, sir?
Me fixing my hair. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Good. Go ahead and tell the good people who you are and what you do.
So my name is Grant Lankard. I am the creator, writer, sometimes artist of multiple comic books, Beowulf, Memoirs of the Morbid. My newest comic book is League of Cryptids, and issue 2 is on Kickstarter currently. I will actually send you the link for that.
Cool.
Yes, if you guys have any of your links, throw them in the private chat. We'll put those out there for the show and for people to look at while we're having the show.
Yes.
Aaron.
Aaron.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. So tell the good people who you are and what you do.
My name is Aaron Wroblewski. I'm writer, creator of various comic series, Enenra, Blood and Fire, and its sequel, Ice and Bone. And my current supernatural horror, Amor Patris, which is currently on Kickstarter now with issue 2.
Very nice. And are you in the States or are you across the pond?
I'm in the States, but I'm from across the pond.
All right. I just wanted to make sure because, sometimes with the hour difference, you're in your wee hours of the night sometimes if you're over that way.
Yeah. No, I'm officially in Kentucky. Have been for 5 years now.
Oh wow! So we're ahead of you in the time frame.
Yep.
And Aaron has some funny stories about Kentucky.
I'm sure Kentucky has a lot of stories.
No comment. Can't prove it.
There you go.
Fair enough.
All right.
So usually we go clockwise, but Kevin, do you want to go last, or did you come up with something that you want to work through?
So my thing is just about figuring out how to find motivation and focus during some dark times. I've got like 9 things going on around my life right now that are more important than comics, is what I'm told. But I also need to keep this ship sailing. So I guess it's kind of like how do you guys, when stuff is coming down hard and they really are super important, like how do you keep your motivation to hit the marketing, hit your writing goals, hit your communication? I think that's probably the thing that is the most honest and truthfully of what I'm working through right now.
Okay. All right. So Grant, do you have any kind of questions for Kevin to kind of clarify a little bit more?
No, I guess I kind of had an addendum to that question. One of the things that I've been working at is, we're kind of in a dark time right now, and it's been really hard for me to get, people to stop thinking about the dark times and think about my comic book. You know what I mean? So for me, that's a bigger issue than getting motivation, because I feel like when I'm in a dark place, I like having something to take my mind off of things. But yeah, for the past week and a half or so, it's been very hard to get anybody to listen to me. It's not only been very hard for me to get people to listen to me talk about my comic book. I feel like a whiner, like complaining about it, because it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I know you guys don't want to get political, but I mean, we have a guy in the Oval Office who already has tried to overthrow the government once.
Well,
how do you not just spend all day worrying about that?
Well, Grant, hold on. Let's do, because yours is an addendum, so I think it's a separate question in and of itself. It's a separate situation. So let's deal with Kevin's question first, and then we're gonna come back, and then we'll go to yours next, and we'll worry about the person who's going into the Oval Office, later.
Okay, so I guess to answer your question, Kevin, my advice would be.
Well, we're not getting into the advice yet. This is question time. And then we get into the advice.
Yeah. The way the format works is that we're gonna ask you guys, like, you're gonna present a question. We're gonna ask you questions to clarify. So, like, I don't know, like, why do I keep hiding in this closet? I'm like, well, we're like, well, did you open the door?
Yeah. So I guess a good example for Kevin, question wise, for clarification, you said you have 9 things that are more important. Is this like coming down from like family, the wife? Is this like just
all things I can't talk on a public podcast about? They're very important. They're serious. They're real, and they are taking a lot of my attention and focus, and yet I know that I need to do it. Unfortunately, no, I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. Rob, I know you very well, and I love you to death, but I can't talk publicly about these things. So,
which is fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So okay. I guess then I guess a good clarifying question that you might be able to answer, out of all the time that you haven't been able to put in, is there times where, or is there like an hour here, an hour there, or are you able to get up a little earlier, stay up a little later? Like, is there any times you're able to like kind of squeeze some stuff in here and there?
I definitely do try to squeeze things in. It's an energy thing at some point. I'm never going to get up early for anybody in my life. I will stay up late. I will stay up late, and I do try. But there are times where 9 o'clock you try to sit down to do something, and it's just the energy isn't there. Now, one thing that I have learned in the last year is I don't try to fight it anymore. I don't try to. Because I'm not productive at that point anyway. But yeah, I definitely do try to get in a 20-minute writing sprint, a 20-minute update. It's stuff like that. My buddy Justin knows one of the 9 things, and it's Florida State's football season. No, that's not one of the real serious things, but it hasn't helped. It hasn't helped.
It's funny. I didn't know what that meant. And I thought, excuse my language, but I curse on the show. I thought it meant fuck shit up.
Maybe.
I mean, either way.
Maybe I need to start doing that. Maybe.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any clarifying questions?
For Kevin, not really. I mean, if he doesn't want to, if he can't get into the nitty-gritty details, then I'm not pushing for anything like that. So I think kind of there's not really many questions you can ask without.
Yeah, I apologize for giving you such a closed-ended thing. About the only thing that I can give is Grant. Look what showed up today in my mailbox. That's you, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is him.
So I can give you one good thing that going on this week is it came perfectly good.
So that's number 10 of the not writing. Currently,
he's busy reading.
yeah. It's how do you guys find motivation during exhaustion? How do you find motivation when things are twirling? Is I guess my real question.
Well, I do have a couple of clarifying questions for you. One, do you work out?
Have very much tried in the last 3 months to get back into doing that. An injury happened, which has kind of curtailed that a little bit. But yes, I'm trying.
Okay. And then the other portion to that is, are you eating well?
Better than I ever have in the last 30 years. Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm actually, nutrition is actually super good in the household right now.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions, or shall we just go ahead and jump into it?
I think we should jump into it.
Okay. Sounds good. Grant, would you like to jump in first, sir? Do you have any advice or thoughts?
I feel like I use comic book creating as my way of kind of relaxing from the stresses in the world. Now, marketing the comic book is a lot less fun. As far as how do you get the motivation, I mean, honestly, I could use some advice on that myself. I mean, sometimes I guess you just kind of have to power through it. I mean, are you having more trouble writing the comic book or marketing it?
It's right now we're running a Kickstarter, so the focus is on marketing. So it's, making sure that I'm seen on all the social medias, making sure that the updates are coming in the right way, making sure that, you're popping emails in, you're popping backer kit launches in. So it's kind of like the juggling of all of those things and making them all feel interesting and fun and exciting. And sometimes I feel like tonight I'm talking to, 4 other creators. So I'm excited to do that. But, sometimes sitting down to write the email, it's like, what am I going to say today?
So one of the things that I do that everybody thinks I'm crazy for doing, I've had so many people tell me that I'm wrong for doing this, is I do long Kickstarters so that I can take breaks without feeling like I'm slacking off. And people have told me I'm crazy for people have told me it's been proven that long Kickstarters make less money than short Kickstarters. I don't know. I can tell you, I've done long Kickstarters. I've done short Kickstarters. I make way more money on long Kickstarters than I do short ones.
How long Kickstarter are we talking?
45 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is my longest. This is my current one's like 32 days purely because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was smart.
It was going to end on Thanksgiving weekend, and it was like, nah, it's not a good idea. No one's going to be cooking that turkey and thinking, oh, I haven't backed that one yet. That's not going to happen. So that's why I've kind of extended it until the following Tuesday.
Okay,
cool.
Aaron, do you have any thoughts for Kevin and inside, and also a little bit for Grant?
Yeah, I mean, if it was just writing itself, then I'd probably, because I've had a lot of family issues coming and going over the last year, I always prioritize that over writing, because I can always get back. I take my phone, take notes and things like that, and then write it properly later. But because you're doing a campaign, it's kind of like you need to focus now while it's running. It's hard. I mean, I'd probably suggest. Sorry, my wife just walked through, banging the door.
Hi, wife.
It's hard because you got your personal stuff as well as your Kickstarter, and people don't realize how stressful Kickstarters can be. I would not be here without it. I can't thank the backers enough. They're amazing, but it is stressful.
Right.
Refresh. And like I'm in the same boat as well, doing the emails. I just thought about doing the backer kit launch, and it's extended. So I'm kind of debating whether to pay the another $99 to do it again. I just think if at night you'd rather spend, stay up later, just do half an hour. just write. So even if you don't send the update, just write a little bit.
Right.
You know, the introduction or something. Put pictures in, and then the next day another half hour, and then it kind of maybe that spaces out your updates a lot more during the campaign and kind of makes it flow a bit more. But it's hard. It is really just juggling life, what throws at you. It's difficult.
Yeah. That's a good idea, though. Doing a little bit at night and a little in the morning, so it doesn't feel daunting.
Yeah, I mean, when you have, I don't know if you work, have your break time when you're having a smoke, just do it on your phone.
I can't have a smoke. Florida didn't make it legal.
Yeah, I tend to do a lot of stuff while I'm having a shit. Be productive.
There you go.
Just don't call me on podcasts when it happens. But,
turn your camera around. Let's just all be sure.
No comment.
All right, JD, do you have anything before I jump in?
I mean, as far as look, you said you got 9 things, and that's all life stuff. And I mean, the only thing the only advice I can give, when it comes down to that stuff is obviously what's your top priority, right? And what's going to be your smallest priority, right? And if one of those things is paying a parking ticket, I would suggest getting the smallest thing done first and just working that and trying to demolish the list from the bottom and work your way up to what's the most important and the most difficult, so then you can focus on those, whether it's one thing or 3 things, whatever. But if you have little things, because I'm pretty sure you got 1 or 2 little things that you might be able to knock out, maybe not quickly, but within a week. Get rid of those things, deal with them as quickly as you can, no matter how painful it may be, and then deal with the much more difficult tasks. Because those are those big tasks, whether it's taking care of a parent or something along those lines, that's just going to be there for you. You know what I mean? And you just got to deal with that. But those little things, if you can get rid of them, whether it's paying bills or whatever, just try to knock that out. As far as creation goes, I mean, Aaron is right. Whatever little time you get. I mean, I always suggest trying to get in at least an hour a day. I live in New York City. I'm riding on the subway trains. I'm literally going to work in my notebook. Good luck for me trying to read it afterwards, but it works out. So, but yeah, that's the only advice I think.
I like that, crossing out the little things. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole people trying to get out of debt with credit cards. Like if they have a bunch of credit cards, they say hit the smallest ones first, and then that way you can compound throwing more on the bigger ones later. Right. So it's that kind of same concept is and it also and this is what Tyler James told me way back when I was feeling pretty swamped, way back when I first joined Comics Launch. He's even just the little task, if you check that off, you get a little bit of an endorphin, boost. You're like, oh yeah, I got some done. Now get a little bit more oomph in your soul, and you can kind of keep doing the small things. The more you check off your list, for me, I always keep this, little notepad here. I have a whole, I go through sticky notes all the time, but I'm getting the little stuff done first and then jumping into the big stuff, boom, 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 boom. I mean, there's, more and more little stuff come up, but the fact that, you're getting that off your list, it does feel good, and you feel like you've accomplished something, even with it, if it's a day or a week or even a month, Span will get stuff off that list. But as far as finding time, stuff that I do, as I have 3 kids and I'm running them everywhere. I do most of the cooking. I work a full-time job. I have to deal with animals. My wife's got it made. She's literally the queen of this house. So, I'm just nonstop going. So caffeine is my friend. That's a big thing that keeps me going from early in the morning till late at night. Kevin, I know you say you don't want to wake up early for nobody, but that's all right. Just then drink some coffee in the afternoon so you can have that extra boost in the end.
There you go.
So that also when I'm taking the kids to all these different places, if I have to wait for them for like whatever, or if I have to like drop one kid off and then go wait at another, like at the school to pick up another one for football or basketball, if I have to wait like 10, 15 minutes, boom, I'm on my phone. I'm constantly sharing out shit. I mean, you see me all the time online, right? So like I'm constantly like boom, 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 boom. Or like I also another thing that you might want to consider, and you know, I don't know if like, you know, like maybe looking at somebody like Heather Ellen or Nita Lanning, who are relatively cheap for an entire campaign. They will help push out your stuff for you. So that way, like if you feel like, oh, well, I'm slacking today, but they're pushing it out for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Because right now, I work with both of them, and I set up a Trello board. You know, like basically just the same. I have templates and the Trello board's nice because I can easily go back and edit everything. So like I have a Snowpaw one, I have a Nightwolf marketing one, you know, and then I just edit the numbers of the campaign and the dates, and then basically rehashing the same thing. I mean, my covers may be different, but really the themes are basically the same, right? Or even just a few things that I got to tweak, like, oh, this page does this instead of this. You know, like just little things like that to save yourself time. I mean, it might be like, you know, for doing it the first time, obviously is going to be,
right.
You know, but like once you have like a templated system or even a spreadsheet with like all of your stuff, it makes it easy. And same with emails. Like you can like that helps for like blueprints for emails, or like, you know, for me, if you've noticed, like a lot of my emails are very similar during my campaign time because like I'm doing the same things. I have milestones, I have stretch goals, I have full moon bonuses, I have like all these things that I basically do every single campaign that I just rehash for the emails. You know what I mean? So like saving yourself time to have to, instead of come up with a whole new email, you know, obviously you got to put a fresh take on it, but like it's still, if you're using that same kind of templated system, you know, another thing Tyler told me when I first joined, you know, like set up your templates, create once, use often.
There you go.
Cool.
Now, as far as motivation, I do have one more kind of thing for that. If anybody doesn't mind, if I jump in again. So as far as motivation too, like to, you know, to get them the things done for marketing, this and that. Think about it this way too. I also look at it as I have a team that I'm trying to keep going, right? Like, so Carlos, Mog, Bruna, Dave Lentz. I mean, he's got enough work, but still, I'll throw him some. And then and Gat Melvin, you know, like so basically Carlos, this is his only sequentials. This is his, you know, for me, like he has another like job, but like this is his, like I'm basically helping sustain his family down in Chile, right? Gat, he has a bunch of other jobs, but like, you know, same difference. Like I'm helping sustain things in South Africa for him. You know, and it just things like that, having like your teams that you know, they're waiting for you to get stuff done too. Like you said about communication and emails, like, it, you know, they're also probably, you know, they're relying on you to do that because your art team's not, you know, gonna, especially with Ludo being in France, he's not doing it, you know, here.
Right.
And, you know, especially at this right now, you're partnering up with Mike. So that's a benefit to you too, because Mike's also sharing it out, but he's also relying on you for that partnership. So like, I'm not saying like the guilt to let him down, but like also it's saying you're like, oh yeah, I have to do this for them, not just myself, kind of a thing, you know, to just do a little bit here and there. That's just, you know, like finding the little times here and there. If you're out and about, if you're, you know, stop somewhere for a minute, you know, just, you know.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate it, guys.
So I have a question. JD, you mentioned exercise. Is that something that you do to keep focused?
Yeah. not nearly enough as I should, but yes, it really does help. I mean, and I'm talking, you know, I do yoga, I do cardio, and I lift weights. So, I mean, it's important to hit them all. You got to lift weights, you know.
Giving like getting that stress out of your body helps clear your mind, because it's kind of like a give and take. If you have, like, for example, if you wake up foggy, you got that brain fog and you just can't focus the rest of the day, if you go out for like a half hour or even get on an elliptical for a half hour, that does clear the brain fog. You know what I mean?
They've done studies. It improves your mood. It improves your the way you think. It improves everything. So start slow, right?
Yeah.
Start slow.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself, Kevin.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I have a burster sack in my foot, so it's like you've got like a balloon of water in one of my feet. So like it's kind of taken almost all cardio out, but I can still do weightlifting and I do yoga once a week with my friend Michelle who's made it a thing. So I'm doing a little bit, but that thing about starting slow so you don't hurt yourself is huge, because we all get real excited for 2 weeks and then
it takes it out, or you're going too hard and then you get sick and then you start over.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. So I worked out yesterday, which was great, and then today I'm like, but today's more like a rest day, but tomorrow I have to do it. But it's getting me to do it tomorrow that's gonna be the tough part.
Right.
So we'll see. All right. So Kevin, I hope that helped.
I think so. I'm going to try to really remember. I wrote down Trello board because I've got to look at that technology.
If you ever need a training or anything, and this goes for anybody, if you ever want to learn how, like I do a lot of my management stuff, because I use Trello for my artists, for my books, I use it for marketing, even sometimes for myself. So if you guys ever want me to, do one of these and just pull up how to do it, I'd be happy to show you.
Okay, cool.
Can you repeat the name?
Okay, you free tomorrow?
Yeah, we can figure something out. Trello. It's Trello.com. It's a project management online based.
TRELLO.
TRELLO. Yes. .com.
All right. Cool. So Grant, what's your question?
Well, I guess the question that I jumped the gun with, how do you get people to not focus on whatever's going on in the world and focus on your comic book?
Okay. So does anybody have any questions for Grant before we get into the advice?
I do have a question. What are you trying to give them that is different than what's going on in the world for them to possibly, not all of them, pay attention right now?
You mean in terms of my marketing or in terms of the product?
Marketing, because you're in the marketing right now. So what are you working on that could be a nice warm shower away from the cold rain outside?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I haven't tried that strategy yet. So you're saying kind of do like counter programming?
Well, I'm trying to ask you a question so I don't get yelled at, but I think that will be my advice when we get to that point. Yeah.
See, he knows.
I've got to be yelled at plenty of times.
But you've been on the show every time. You're a host.
That's good, man. I got a lot of things going on, Sometimes I just want to answer the damn question.
Look, I've caught myself as well. It happens. It happens. So anybody else have any more questions? Aaron, do you have any questions for Grant?
I suppose it's the obvious one is what you're trying to distract people from, but I presume from the earlier comments, it's the big P word, and trying to stay away from that because you don't know who's listening, and people get very defensive, I'd say, about certain topics.
Well, I think we all know what he's talking about. But what are you trying that you feel isn't working?
Well, I think a big thing for me is that social media the past week has kind of been useless. And I think a lot of people are either staying off of it or just want to focus on one thing.
May I ask, do you have an email list, or do you do most of your marketing social media?
No, I have a newsletter. I have been putting out. I have put out, I think, 2 newsletters since last Tuesday. I also do backer kit. I've sent out 1 backer kit. Those have been doing okay. I mean, it also could be the idea that maybe for whatever reason this Kickstarter just isn't taking off like past Kickstarters that I've done, and maybe I'm trying to scapegoat the election. I don't know.
Were the other Kickstarters in the same season? Because I know some people think that Kickstarter in November and December is pretty tough during the holiday seasons. And then if you Tyler from Comics Launch seems to think it's the great time to launch it, because there's
to Tyler's thing, he has like Seas for Cthulhu, and
he has like
he's very
20,000
with his
fans.
Stuff.
I've got like maybe 50 if I'm lucky.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So for Tyler, like he also has said, you launch when you prepare your audience, so it doesn't matter in his mind when you launch, as long as you prepared your audience.
Yeah.
Any more questions before we jump in? JD, anything?
No, I think I just got answers.
Okay, so Aaron, you want to go first with the answers, and then we'll jump over to Kevin, JD, and then I'll go last.
I had an idea, and I know it's gone. Come back to me. I think I can grab
Kevin,
it.
go ahead.
Okay. So my advice is for all of us who are running right now is to know that just about half of the country is super happy, and probably so happy that they're not really paying attention to crowdfunding. And about half the country is very upset, and probably so upset that they might not be paying attention too much about crowdfunding. So part of my question and part of my advice is our job is to give all of them something fun to leave their island of whatever they feel about last week, and do that thing that brings them joy that has nothing to do with the actual big world. And I think it's a little bit about just keep hitting our thing, and when they have the time and energy and focus, hopefully they'll come to us. So that's my thought, and that's sort of what I've been trying to do in the last week.
Yeah, I think I remembered cross promotion is what I try and do a lot more now. Social media is just dead. I mean, I get the few likes. Most of the time, it's the same people like it, which is great. It gives more, their followers and friends see it. But it's most of the time, it's marketing experts who like it, comment on it, things like that. So,
huge quote marks for marketing experts.
Now, are you saying that that's just in the past week and a half, or are you saying that just in general you don't feel like?
I mean, definitely the last couple of months.
Yeah, I've been feeling
social media has just been non-existent. I'm even using threads, the Instagram thread, just going through, looking at comic threads, commenting like, if you like horror comics, check out this, blah blah blah. I've got a few. I may have one backer from it out of probably hundreds of thread tweets, whatever they're called.
Now, do you think that the social media guys have just perfected that algorithm to the point where
you have to pay to play?
Yeah, and you have to pay a lot.
Yeah,
because you think about it, like when they do Expanse or the June all you see on social media is their adverts for the comic. They must be spending thousands on these adverts, and it's insane how much they spend on it. But then they have the the backers and the money revenue coming in to do that, where little old me can't afford to do that. So I did Facebook ads a long time ago for I think it was like $50.
Mm-hmm.
Did nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's I've only ever done Facebook ads once, and like you said, it was for so little money.
Yeah, you just get swallowed by the rest of it.
So I will speak a little bit to Facebook ads. Not saying to spend a lot of money, because that's definitely not something I do, but I do run ads actually every campaign, and sometimes before the campaign leading up, to kind of open those social channels. For example, through my Lone Wolf Comics, leading up, I do the free issue of Night Wolf if you subscribe for my email list. So I'll run that for about a couple weeks to a month prior to the campaign, and I'm doing bare minimum spend, like $5 a day, spreading out like a $200, over a couple hundred weeks or a couple weeks,
Yeah, that's a lot of money, actually.
Yeah. But I'm capping it. So, but really, my spend, I don't think I spent more than $250 before the campaign. So it's just basically, like I said, I'm doing bare minimum just to kind of keep the floodgates open, if you will, that Facebook is allowing my business page to have. And this past time, so I did that, and then my entire campaign, I had an ad running, same difference, $5 throughout the whole campaign. I think I set that at a $300 because it was a longer time period, just to make sure that I wasn't spending a lot, but I got to the end and I almost spent that $300, but I didn't go over. So it's budgeting something very small and making sure that you just have that like $5 a day, just to kind of give them a little bit of the taste or whatever. But, and I found that my organic posts, so usually mine don't go more than 25, 30 for my organic or whatever. But this past time I've noticed that I've had several, especially the ones where I'm giving really clipped snippets of my pages. For example, there was one where it was just like a big hero shot of Snowpaw. I had over 1,100 reactions, and that's like likes, hearts, laughs, whatever. And then that was more like I've had several that this past campaign that this happened, and I'm like, what's going on, And I kind of went back and started looking at some of my stats throughout, all my campaigns. Like the more that I had, ads running or whatever, I've noticed that I did have a jump in likes. But not only is that, but it's also bringing people to your page. That how if you have people who don't follow you but like a comment, and you can have them follow you. If you have a business page or an artist creator page or whatever. This usually doesn't happen with regular personal pages, but if you have something, you can have them follow you if they like your stuff. So every time somebody else liked it, I went through and I clicked a bunch of people to like or invite. It also built up the people following my page. So again, my thing is do bare minimum ads, make sure you have a little bit of a budget for it, and then it'll open up more of the organic. Because like I said, I looked at that and I was I couldn't believe the numbers that I got this past time. But like I said, it was like an upward trend. Like the longer I had ads running, the more and more organic likes, and like I said, that was probably the most viral I've ever had was this past time. And it was more than one post. So that's just something, that I think it is a good idea, because social media is now a pay to play thing. They open up their algorithm. Like I said, I don't suggest, like I said, don't spend a lot. Do not do that because that's just waste of money. But again, it helps with getting
$5 a day can add up, though. In all fairness,
it does, yes. But The ads actually did end up paying for themselves this campaign. I got over $500 in my Facebook ad on my campaign.
I do consider that if I spent $30 on ads and I get a $30 pledge and that's it, I do consider it to be a win. Like if I don't lose money on ads, I consider it a win, because that one person that bought, let's say you get 10 people for $300 and it's equal. If 5 of them come back next time for free, you're building on it. But I agree totally. $5 a day, $10 a day on a boost. I don't do these $25, $100 a day ads.
Yeah, that is definitely insane. Yeah, like I said, the bare minimum.
Yeah, like Kevin, you never know when these ads are gonna really kick in, right? Because it could be this campaign, it could be the next campaign, it could be the campaign after that. So, yeah.
So how do you target your ads, Rob?
So specifically because mine are werewolf books, of course I hit every werewolf avenue like in the interests that I can find. Then I go and find every vampire. I find every supernatural. I find anything that says comic book, DC, Marvel, Image, whatever. And then, on top of that, then I'm kind of like, if it's Snowpaw, then more fantasy and stuff like that. But if it's Nightwolf, a little more horror, it's so I kind of focus stuff around like that. Like, Nightwolf to me, kind of like when I was originally writing him, like this because I love Wolverine. So I wanted some kind of a feral character. So I kind of related that back, put Wolverine in there, like any kind of interest that is similar to the book. And then only put it for the United States because if anybody else outside will find it eventually, but you don't need to pay for that because because you may not even be doing international. So the other benefit of doing it too, like when you're focusing and doing all that and you make sure that it's 18 plus, you don't want to do any of the younger because they're not going to spend money. Heck, you could even probably cut out the 18 and move it up to like 25 because they have a job.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that. That's a really good point.
But like, so you, you have all that stat set and I make sure that like I save that audience because I reuse it and make sure you have your Facebook pixel for your page embedded in your Kickstarter. Because that also helps to tell the algorithm, the likes, the interest, and all that stuff. And that's kind of like how you to set it up initially. Make sure you also have like really good images too, and really good taglines. And I set it up with traffic in mind, and then I set the URL to kickstarter.com/werewolfcomic, or that they can visually see. And then, throw in a quote or whatever description, just trying to get like the most, bang out of it. I use Kevin's quote all the time, the high octane werewolf story, that's like one of my favorite ones that I use regularly. But yeah, so, I mean, like stuff like that, that's a good way of setting it up. You want to definitely make sure you're hitting your audience. Cause remember they're cold, but you want to warm them up. You want to warm them up with stuff that hits that, like thinking about as a fan, what catches your eye, right? That's kind of like got to be like the way we think about things is as a fan, what would catch our eye? What are we looking at? What do we click? Why are we clicking? Right. So that's a big part of it. And then there was another point that I was going to make about having it run, and then I totally just kept going. All right. But yeah, that's essentially, the setup and how I run those.
And when I'm really, really, really lazy, I just look at a post that I do on the TART page that I think looks cool, and I'll just boost it for 3 days to my audience and my audience only.
Yeah.
And it's just reminding my people, hey, we're out there. You like me. I like you. Here's a campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you look at one of your most popular posts. Boom. There you go. You boost that, and it goes out to more eyes, and it also opens up the gates. Another point that Nita had made to me, she gets flagged a lot on her campaign for like showing like some certain, covers because it's either over sexualized or whatever. I'm going to knock on wood because now that I say this, I've never, even showing the same cover, never been flagged, right? But I had mentioned that to her and she said, well, you pay them, because of my Facebook ad. So she's like, you could sue them if they block your account because you're actively paying them. So that's another thing, is that you can show a little bit more things that are kind of like on the border of like the guidelines, because if you're paying them, they want you to keep paying them.
I always think that too. I mean, Nita's just one of them, but I mean, I have a couple different friends who are constantly posting on Facebook, oh, I'm just getting out of Facebook jail again. This is the third time this month. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, am I that squeaky clean that I've never said anything offensive? I find that hard to believe.
I got banned from Facebook for 30 days because I was posting too often. Because I was doing
posting the same stuff, or were you very? Yeah,
because I was copying and pasting on different groups.
You need to vary, make it variations of what you're doing. Yeah, that's
I was
very
in the middle
scammy.
of a campaign. I was so gutted.
You got to vary that stuff. That's the other thing. You got to play their game too. Like, you got to post every day, right? Even if it's just a little thing. Something we learned from Carissa, or was it Nita, or somebody said, you just post questions. Don't even put any links. Just something relative, like, do you like werewolf comics?
I can guarantee it's Carissa.
Yeah, probably. Well, I know Carissa
because she's great at asking questions.
Right, but that's the thing. If you ask questions and people react to it, but that's the thing. She doesn't always do it towards her stuff. Mm-mm. Right. So I started doing it at the beginning of this campaign. I started doing it focused on comics, werewolves, supernatural, vampire, like anything like that was related to my stuff that people were reacting to, you know what I mean? So that they're seeing my stuff, so that's something to do, and Grant, you have a very long campaign, right? So one, that might be good in one aspect, but also bad in another, because people are seeing the same stuff for long periods of time. And if, like you said, if you're taking a break, if you're not scheduling one thing a day, the algorithm's going to stop. You got to boost it back up, right? So even if you're taking a break yourself, you should always have something scheduled every day. Even if it's a question like that, do you like cryptids? What's your favorite cryptid? Right?
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't understand how the algorithm works. So you're saying
no one does.
Nobody. The algorithm doesn't understand how the algorithm works.
No.
Well, so that's the big issue. I mean, okay, so when you say you have to post every day, or what were you saying? The algorithm.
So it's kind of like, think about it as a momentum. Mm-hmm. You have to keep feeding the momentum, and if you stop, you take a break, you have to build that momentum back up.
I guess my question is, how do you know that? I mean, from what I understand, Facebook isn't public about.
It's not as much as like, so there are like experts out there who put out stuff like information. Nita's going to school for this stuff now. So just picking her brain, or just picking, like, I work with marketers because my full-time job is web and graphic design. So that's what I do all day in my full-time job. So I'm learning from them.
Yeah.
To take ideas to use for myself. But yeah, I mean, and that's it. Another thing is, when you have a page, like, for example, like, I have my business page, and then my personal page is no longer personal. It's a creator page, or writer page. If you have a writer page that's sort of like a business page, Facebook will actually tell you when you're doing stuff. So it's like, hey, you should post today. Hey, you should do this. Oh, hey, you got this mile marker. You need to get 1 or 2 more posts to get up to this, and that's when they start doing that. Oh, put the star, or if somebody gives you a star, you make money, you get monetized. Like they're kind of trying to get you up to that monetization level, because they want you, basically making money, so they make money. So that's kind of like, I kind of learned from listening, asking questions, and doing.
To go back to your original question, this is going to sound trite, but it works for me.
You bastard.
Yeah. What I would suggest is try not to focus on the negative. You know what I mean? Just get away from it. You understand? I mean, what happened, and whether it was a car accident or, you know, the election, right? It happened. It's done. You understand? There's no getting around it. It's done. And whatever happened in that car accident, right? Whether it was somebody lost a foot or somebody lost their head, it's done. Move on. You understand? Don't focus on it. Worry about your work. Worry about, you know, concern yourself with what makes yourself happy and what makes your friends happy, right? And focus on that. Focus on the good things. That's it. Because I woke up the next day, I looked up in the sky, the sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and the squirrels were doing squirrely things. They did not give a damn, right? So I was just like, yeah, there's hope in the world, you know? And we don't know what's going to happen, right? Hope for the best.
Yeah,
right?
And to kind of play off that too, like, you know, everything's happened, and we all, you know, there's like, you know, Kevin's got stuff going, I've got stuff going, JD's got stuff going, Aaron's got stuff going. Everybody has like the personal things that we all go through. Comic books are a relief. They always have been my go-to to get away from things, right? So whether it's reading your book, someone else's book, my own book, just doing the process, it's an escapism, right? That's why we do this. It's an escapism.
And here's the thing, I would always suggest looking at other people's books, but always buying mine. Okay, I just say. All right, but yeah.
So. And for you though, I really like that advice. If you need to take 30 minutes away from this and be angry and sad and whatever and feel those feelings, there's nothing wrong with compartmentalizing the negative if you can get it out. And like the exercise is a great way. I haven't really been thinking about it, but a great way to do it. But you don't have to, saying there is hope and you don't have to be down is really great advice, but you don't have to pretend everything's perfect either. You just have to compartmentalize where your emotional release is. And if that's screaming into a pillow for 15 minutes, scream into a pillow for 15 minutes. Do it.
Yeah.
There's also the element of control. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
There's literally nothing you can do of what happens next door, in the next room while you're there. There is nothing you can do. You just have to concentrate on what you can control, what you can influence, and just go from there.
Do you play video games at all, Grant?
I play little video games on my phone. I don't play anything like.
Okay. That's another besides the exercise, because I'm not gonna get into too much why I get angry, but when I do get angry,
it's usually my fault, guys. I'm sorry.
No, but like when I get angry, I exercise. Like I'll get on the elliptical and I'll just keep, like,
I'm not Kevin.
Yeah, or like, but when I really just want to I will get on like one of my violent, like, melee games and just take a big old sword and just and just go to town. I'm like, this is who I'm mad at. I'm messing you up.
I mean, also the thing that also works for me is like, sometimes, Rob will do that. Exercise obviously good. But for me, one of the things that works for me is I will put on a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I know that sounds, and that takes me to a place that's much more innocent. And although some of those cartoons aren't, but it takes you to a place. Right. Yeah. It takes you to a place where it's like, like this is fun. You understand? If it's not that, I'll go watch another Miyazaki film. I'll go watch, My Neighbor Totoro, or I'll go watch, Spirited Away or something like that, and that will, bring up my mood. Those are the things I do when I feel like when I go into a dark place and those are the things I do. Daphne knows if I'm watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon, she's like, there's something wrong. But you sit there and laugh with him.
She's going.
Yeah. No, I mean, because typically I'll start laughing at some point. I'll start laughing, and once I start laughing, it's all good.
And some of these things are fodder for your social media. Let's say, we're showing my kid Benson on Amazon Prime right now. We just thought, let's show her a cute, fun sitcom from the 80s that we remembered when we were kids. And she's adoring it. I mean, if I thought about it, I could every day put the Benson episode that we just watched, the funniest joke and the dumbest thing Clayton Endicott III did. And maybe I'm going to start doing this because I think it's a good idea. That's out on social media. That gives people a reason to be like, Kevin, Grant, oh, I remember watching that. And then they're following you a little bit closer. And maybe they see that you have a Kickstarter. These things that maybe we can use to get ourselves out. And this is kind of going back to my problem too. Do these things that distract and use them strategically for the thing that we care about.
Right.
And it's something to play off of that too. And this is something I did last February, I feel it was. I had been really sick. I had the flu or something. And I was like basically on the couch for 2 days, and I was like feeling shitty that I couldn't get anything done. Right. But while I was laying on the couch, I put on Full Metal Alchemist.
I was going to say that sounded like a really bad idea.
No, Full Metal Jacket's a good movie, but that's not what I was. I basically had always I watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood years ago, right? And I love the twist. I love the whole, everything about it. And I was just laying there. I'm like, you know what better time to watch it now? I've already seen it, so I just can lay there and veg, right? Well, as I'm watching it and going on, I actually got absorbed into watching it again. I kind of forgot that I was sick until I had to get up, and then it was a whole nother story, And then I thought about that after I finally got better, how it got me through that, because I felt like even though I was sick, it distracted me from being, vomiting and sick and everything. I just kind of laid there like a vegetable, right? But when I was better, I wrote an email. I wrote a social post about what I'm telling you right now, basically how this is storytelling at its finest. I want to do that. My purpose as a writer, storyteller, is to take you away from what's most bothering you, as this escapism. So it was for me lethargic, and I was trying, and I expressed that in the email and in the social post. And it was one of my well-received emails and just non, promotional email or posts, you know what I mean? It was just stuff like that,
Yeah.
Getting back to what you love about what you're doing, right? Things that inspire you, right? Just get back to that. If you're feeling, disheartened, get back to what inspires you and get lost in it again.
Yeah. I've just started Andor again. I'm on episode 5. Kick ass. Love that show.
There you go. All right. So Grant, hopefully this helped. I don't know. Only you can answer that question.
Yeah, I feel like you guys gave me so much information. It's going to be hard for me to.
You got to rewatch it.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, just rewatch. Yeah, rewatch and write down notes.
Take notes.
Yeah, I might even take up doing a Facebook ad or two, just to see what happens.
Yeah, just and when you go back to doing your posts, give them the escapism. Be excited about your book again. Give them something to jump into and be escape from all this darkness.
Right.
All right. So, Aaron, sir, what do you have for us?
Actually, you've already answered it. Mine was marketing.
All right, our job's done. No.
Yeah, it was.
All right, end the stream.
Yeah, I hate marketing. I'm not a marketing expert. I hate it. Every Kickstarter I launch, I'm always hopeful it's going to be funded in the first week, and it never is. And then I'm stressing for the rest of it. So this one is a relaunch because the first time didn't fund. So I'm I'm even more stressed. So it's marketing. I just hate it, but you have to do it because that's the name of the beast.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm sorry. What was the question?
There isn't one.
Was there a question?
It was a rant more than a question.
Gotcha.
I'm just venting.
So, actually, I do have a question. I do have a question for you, right?
For him or for you?
No. Concerning your campaign, Aaron, I see your funding goal. It's not ridiculous. It's not a ridiculous number. It's very reasonable. But is there a reason that it's at where it's at? Does it have to be there?
Yes, because I lost a lot on the first one.
Gotcha.
Because even though it funded, there was a lot of error cards after.
Mm-hmm.
And this,
That's a killer.
I'm hoping to. I'm not recouping all of it, but I'm hoping to set it at the 3. It was supposed to be 3,250. That was the first launch. Didn't make it, so I dropped it to like just over 3,000. And even then, I'm hoping to keep it to around 3 to 325 to slowly keep up. Because the artist has dropped his per page as well. Trying to get this pushed.
Steady.
I don't know. Maybe it's just I just don't have the fans for this type yet. Because my Blood and Fire and Ice and Bone is doing really well. I mean, I've just completed the fulfillment of issue 1 of Ice and Bone. Issue 2 is I'm waiting for one variant cover, then it's ready to rock and roll. So maybe I'm just kind of hitting this too early in my writing career, and it's just I just don't have the fans to kind of launch it. I'm not sure.
I mean that's something to think about too. Is that like your fans from Ice and Bone or Blood and Fire, like they may not translate over.
They're not. There is a few, but not as many as I hoped. Because the last one I had was it 137 backers, which is really, really amazing for me. And not many of those has transferred over. Even a few of them have actually commented that they love my writing, they love Ice and Bone. This one's not really for them. So that's fine. I'm not going to force you to spend your hard-earned cash. I'm not going to, shine a light bulb in your face until you back my. Though I would if I could.
What did you do prior to lead up to try and build the audience for this particular book?
Like I said, social media. I did have like a preview, like an 8 to 10 page preview, a PDF, which I was kind of throwing out to various other creators to offer, in their campaign to try and spread the word, cross promotions. That's what I said. I think cross promotions is pretty much my number one for gaining fans, because social media just seems to be dead. But I'll try Facebook ads again to see if it works.
Very little spend though. Very little.
Yes, very little. So I'm on a finite budget of $0.
It's gonna be 5. It's gonna be 5 a day. Then you're not doing less than 5. But
that's the only way you're getting any kind of traction is 5 a day at least.
I mean, I can do like a week, 5 a day just to see how it runs. But yeah, it's been difficult.
Is the problem that you're crossing genres? Is that the problem?
Don't know. I have no idea. I'm at a loss. I mean, everyone says that horror is one of the biggest earners. Everyone says mine is really kick-ass. The artwork. I mean, the artwork should be funded itself. I mean, Hernan is amazing.
But you're not doing Cthulhu. You're not doing a vampire. You're not doing Dracula. You're not doing Frankenstein.
No, it's my own thing. So maybe that's it. I'm doing the horror, but the wrong type.
It's possible. I mean, look, Daphne and I, we do 3 separate fantasy stories, right? I do the Oswald Chronicles, we do Tall Tales, and she does Eagle Raven. and when the Venn diagram meets up, we have an 8% crossover between those 3 books, and they're all fantasy. You understand? So it's like that. What crosses over between the 3 of them is crazy.
And believe it or not,
Yeah.
50% of my backers back both. The other 50s on the other, like they don't. They're either one or the other.
Yeah,
which is weird because they're both werewolf books, same character, same universe, but one's urban fantasy horror, the other one's 19th century Scotland fantasy.
Right.
So, and the art is also completely different. So that's another thing. Again, it's just building up that audience prior to launch. And I also think, like, with not just because of the election, but in general, like this, I've been noticing this. And I've launched for the last 2 years. I've been launching 4 campaigns a year. I've noticed that the dead zone has been more dead. So if you don't get it right off the beginning, like really close to funding, it's going to be a slobber knocker because you're basically getting very bare minimum. So it's like spike, nothing, little spike at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't help that one backer was cancelling and pledging, cancelling and pledging, cancelling and pledging. I'm like, oh my God.
I had that. Yes, there was a lot of that too this past campaign. I was like, "What are you?"
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you guys think that? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you guys think that? I mean, every time you do a new title, you're basically building your fan base from scratch.
Yes.
Yes.
For the most part, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have some diehard people who are just going to support you, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking. He said 8% for the 3 titles. That's probably 5 to 10% of the people are just going to support you to support you. But every new
Especially
title,
if they're completely different genres.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, not all the people who get 1 will come back for 2.
Correct.
Sometimes they'll wait and come back for the trade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
that's
really annoying.
I'm guilty of that. I'm very much guilty of that one. I will buy a first issue and then not buy any of the other books and wait for the trade.
He's a trade waiter.
This one up here.
Trade waiter.
God bless you though, because we need trade waiters because there are some people who just want the floppies and they're not going to get the trade.
And here's another crazy thing. I read the books I buy.
You do?
What?
I did at one point. I think that's one of my 9 problems is my to read pile is gonna fall on me and kill me.
Yeah, I got a major problem with that too. My to read pile is getting massive. Then that's depressing.
My to read pile is not a pile; it is a bookcase. So I'm constantly pulling from it, but I read probably a couple hundred pages a night, so I read pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
I do have a question, Aaron. What is the most fun and the least fun marketing you do? The 2 things on the opposite end. I have the most fun doing this, and I have the least fun doing this.
The most fun is podcasts like this. It's great. The least fun is podcasts like this.
Okay, so that's gonna be rough.
All right, well,
It's gonna be. You know what? I like this because the advice is gonna be very.
You can't be talking like that
here. Did he take JD Rosario's place?
Yeah, I know, right? No.
I think the best one is obviously podcast because you meet new creators. It's a good laugh. I used to hate them because I get nervous and stressed about coming on and talking shite because not many people understand what I say because I speak proper English. But the worst.
Just because you can pronounce the letter T doesn't mean you're better than us.
I think the worst is posting because I just run out of ideas of what to write, and I just seem to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, check out my Kickstarter. Here's the same picture I did yesterday.
So something that might help with that.
Yeah.
When you're posting, don't just go out there and say, "Hey, check out my Kickstarter." Think about what, like, you have obviously log lines, right? You have blurbs, you have things that you can use from your Kickstarter page that you want people to read to kind of catch their interest, right? Start out like, using mine as an example. I always say, "Hey, do you like stories about supernatural creatures, werewolves, vampires, blah blah blah?" Question mark. Then you'll love, whatever your title is, your log line. Go into like what people will love about it. Like, why should they read it? Don't why should they check it out? Don't just say check it out. That's our job. That's us from, like, when we share you out, we're like, "Hey, check this out, this cool thing," right? You need to be like the more informative. Give them why. Ask the question first, then give them the reason why.
Okay. Yeah.
How can you gamify these posts? And I'm going to give you the example of what I've done. When I'll get up near like 20 backers away from 200 or 300, I will go on Twitter and I will literally say, I have I have 13 backers to 300. And then I'll go on Google and I'll get a picture of Dan Marino and I'll say, "Dan Marino, number 13 of the Miami Dolphins, threw for 432 touchdowns, which was a record until blank. Can you get us up to 12 backers to 300? And then I'll find another athlete with the number 12. And I've just gamified getting to 300. It has nothing to do with my comic. It's getting people to notice that I have a goal. It's silly, it's different. And one time I just did it with the Sesame Street characters. Just found Elmo with the number 9. I found that there's a bunch with the count. And it gamifies it. It makes it fun for me. So if it's fun for me, it will be more fun for the people who are, trolling through their oh, wait, why is Kevin putting Elmo on? And you know what? And I'm in the dead zone. I get more backers quicker when I'm doing something stupid like that than when I'm really going, "Guys, this story is so important to me." And that's important to do, but that silly little thing I do, gamify it, make it fun for you somehow.
And it breaks up the different things, like that way you're not just repeating the same thing over and over again that people are like, "Okay, I saw this already."
Yeah, that's kind of what the vibe I'm getting. It's just a repeat, and it's just like, it's like that old proverb: if you get like this, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different, response, it's insanity. So that's what I'm feeling like. I used to have a lot of hair, and now nothing.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
Why do you think I wear a hat? I'm highly jealous of both Kevin and Grant's hair.
Sorry.
I mean, it's pretty great. You're right.
When I was in college, my hair was down to my shoulders. I looked like Eddie Vedder. And then I said goodbye to my hair.
Days of yore.
Like, that's like doing the different things like that. That definitely helps. And like Nita runs my Facebook group for me. And she will post funny werewolf memes all day, like every day, and that helps too, because then you get people reacting and laughing. Same thing. It's the same as posting something every day that's different, but you want to get reactions to kind of keep that boost going, right? So once you keep posting the same thing, the algorithm goes, this guy. even the readers are going, this guy.
Yeah.
Like you want to, switch it up as much as you can, as far as marketing goes. As we were talking, like you said, we kind of covered a little bit about the emailing, throwing different stories, inspiration. What inspired you to do this book, right? Like, have you gotten into any of that? Like, are you telling people that? Are you reaching out in your emails and saying, "This story is inspired by the letter Q.
Also, how many horror like groups are you part of?
Oh, dozens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you interacting with them, or are you just saying, "Hey, check this out"?
I mean, because I'm on so many, it's kind of hard to keep track. But if I'm going to post on them, I tend to kind of stroll down and check out what's new. But because I'm on so many, I don't actively kind of go there every day or.
Yeah, maybe like take one or two of those that are highly active and that are not just like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Like, go in, like if somebody's posting art or posting memes or whatever, if it's highly interactive, go be interactive, and then go and make friends with the admin. And but after you've obviously, don't do the friend thing where you're like, I'm only asking because I want your help. Do the friend thing. You actually be friends, talk to them, get in with them, and then go to the admin and say, hey, would you mind if I shared this out? That would probably help you get some more traction. And then every time you have a campaign, kind of do that same cycle, say, hey, comment. Oh, I really like this. This is great art. This is what I yada, 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 yada. If something comes up related to your book, oh, I also have this thing,
And for the next week, once a day, a horror movie that inspired this book that you can put a GIF on from the horror movie.
And an extra credit if you can fit in Sesame Street.
Oh God, a supernatural horror with Sesame Street. That's going to be tough.
I mean,
there's Count, and then there's that weird magician guy with the mustache.
What's the one with the skiers, or what are those? The crystal. The
Skeksis.
The Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal is there. It may not be anything that inspired you. They don't got to know.
I did actually like the original film. I've not watched the new one.
I love the original film. I even I backed the that campaign, and was it Boom who put out like that big whatever, it was like a big box set. I was like, I am so getting that.
I think GIF is peanut butter, isn't it?
Listen, the guy who invented it calls it GIF. I don't give a shit what you guys think. I'm serious. Call it GIF all you want. The guy who better call it GIF. I don't give a fuck.
He's like, I don't GIF. I don't GIF.
This is where the political ends, and it's like GIF or GIF. It's like,
this is one of my problems.
There you go. There's your next post. Do you say GIF or GIF?
GIF or GIF?
GIF or GIF.
9 problems and a GIF ain't one.
I'm stealing that. That's going to be my first post tomorrow.
See, and look, we're having fun with it, right? Like this is silly shit that people will laugh about when we're posting stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a GIF or GIF. I think I'm a GIF.
We don't have to vote on this, guys.
Yeah, we are. We're voting now. We got 5. We're gonna win this.
Well, he apparently wins because he speaks proper English.
Yeah,
that counts as at least 4 votes straight there. So.
I'm sorry. Any country that pronounces aluminum or aluminium is wrong.
Aluminium. Sorry, dude.
It's aluminum. Sorry.
And spell color right.
We do.
No, you
don't. O's, an R, an L, and a C.
Listen, you guys added the U to try to be French, so don't give us any of that shit.
Hey, don't get me with the French. I mean, you invited the French to save your ass during the War of Independence.
Hey, a Frenchman saved my ass on my comic book, so I'm all about the country of France.
Hey, listen, I've been to Paris. I didn't have not one bad meal there. So yeah,
that's nice.
They're good in my book.
They're good at food and they're good at art. I promise you, they're good at art.
They're good at art.
They eat snails.
Yeah, they make some great comics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen. I'll give you this much, Aaron. The Brits, they make good comics too.
Yeah.
No, it's true. The Brits, listen. We got Alan Moore and Grant Morrison from them. So.
We have a few.
We got a few dozen. A few dozen. Love those guys.
We're
Now,
just not
I gotta,
confident at it.
I gotta bring you. I sometimes do twice a year. I usually do a European podcast. It's mostly the British guys I bring over, and I get into the debate with them every year over aluminium advertisement versus advertisement every year.
Schedule.
Yes,
Schedule, yeah.
Wait, I want to know where there's an F in lieutenant.
How do you feel about privacy?
Privacy, yes.
Yeah, privacy. It was actually funny because it was actually in our me and my wife, our vows was we won't argue about pronouncing things differently. So it was like mine was the British version, hers was the American
That's awesome.
version. So it was fun.
That was very
We're
smart
still
of you.
married after it must have worked.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun wedding vows, my wife and I, we in our vows we said if one of us gets bit by the zombie, to promise to one shot to the head.
Mm.
And at the end, it was by the power of Grayskull. I now pronounce you made it.
So do you have to wait for the zombie to bite, or is it just open season?
Yeah, no. It's got to be a zombie bite before it's shot to the head.
Mm.
Oh, the snake bit me. Okay. I'm not taking any chances.
Nice. So, I mean, here's something for you guys. I mean, all of us have done Kickstarters. What I've seen is most campaigns are down 20 to 30%. I mean, would you guys agree with that overall?
Yeah,
I'd say I'm probably down further than 20% off of where I usually am at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Kevin, what do you think?
I think that we're in a place where instead of everybody who deserves to funding easily, we're in a place where some people absolutely go stratospheric and a lot of people struggle. And I see a lot of campaigns that do not deserve to struggling. And I see a lot of campaigns that do deserve to succeed going meteoric. I've been very lucky to kind of stay at my level of, I have no complaints. I'm doing pretty well. The campaign I'm in right now is a crossover with Mike Shea of Miskatonic High. And it's not a comic book. It's a collectible card set where we tell a story over a series of 24 cards. Rob's actually read it. So it's this very different, unique thing where I've got another readership helping. I've got another creator helping. And it's not a comic book. So we're not even pushing people. You have to buy this.
Right.
We've done as much better than I could have asked for, but I can't really tell you how Tart 17 would do right now because it's such a unique thing. I do think we all have to really put more work into getting that baseline success than we probably had to 2 years ago when we had that COVID bump for Kickstarter. But I'm not sure that we're worse than we were 5 years ago before COVID gave us that bump. I'm really not sure. We kind of had a gravy train for 2 years that was wonderful. And that has slowed down. I know that slowed down.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, number wise too, like, for example, I can tell you for a fact that I have a lot less new people. So most of the people who backed my last campaign were returns, right? So I think it's also people are afraid to try something new if they're not already a fan, even if you're doing the cross promotions, just because right now they're like, I'm already backing X, Y, and Z campaigns. I can't afford to do, more, right? And yeah, that's a very, very good point. People back because they want to help or back because they're really big fans, but like sometimes the fan base doesn't want to go out because they're like, okay, I can only focus on these creators right now. Right. And I think like that's where like the people who are serializing have a benefit because they've been there and their readership is coming every time. but then like new books that are in, for example, your 1 and 2s might struggle a little bit more because you're trying to build that readership when they're already right now going, too many campaigns. I have a pile of backups that I haven't even read yet,
Yeah.
Damn.
And I didn't feel like the readership really grew till we got to issue 4, 5, 6, 7. We had like 100 backers for our trade paperback. We had like 150 backers for 4. We had like 150 for 5. And then 6, we had like 300 backers. And then 7, we had like, 400. And it was like, we had to almost convince people who were afraid to jump on that we really were going to keep going. Mm-hmm. And I think you said you're on issue 2, Aaron.
Yeah, for this series, yeah, issue 2.
So unfortunately, you're not to the point where that like the it's not a headwind, the backwind is pushing you on yet. So you just kind of
finding that audience. If I can just tap into the right audience, it'll be great. But
right. But you also they coined the phrase sophomore slump for a reason. Most issue 1s always, because it's an issue 1, right? Then people are like, okay, we'll see if issue 2 does and issue 3 comes. So you're kind of gonna go like that till as Kevin said, till you get to 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? Or even if you have like a full story arc, or then you got like guys like this one over here waiting for trade.
Yeah, it's the scripts are all complete. There's 10 issues total, so it's a contained story. So yeah, it's just getting there. It's the problem. But I mean,
so now
I think I'm doing better than the first launch, which is always good. But again, the goal is slightly lower, so it could be about the same.
Yeah.
Stress. Who needs it?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I'm thinking about, and this has absolutely nothing to do with this show. One of the things I'm thinking about is, again, I mean, I've been on IGG before, right? It was Indiegogo. I'm thinking of going back and just trying that again. I'm thinking of, there's there's crowdfunder.
The Backer Kid has theirs.
Zoop, and then what's the other one? Fund My Comic is another one.
I don't even know that one.
Yeah, that's a newer one. That's Luke Stone and Randy Zimmerman's, right?
Yeah, well, it's Luke Stone's. Randy just helps.
Isn't it more difficult though to change platform because all my fans, backers are all on Kickstarter?
Well, think about what you just said, right? All of your fans who buy from Kickstarter or on Kickstarter. Hopefully, what you need to do is develop new fans that buy from Indiegogo, because that's the thing. Like when I did Indiegogo, I did about 6 or 7 campaigns, and I only had about 10 or 15 people buying from me, but it did, I raised probably another $5,000-6,000 on that campaign, on that platform throughout those. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was a little bit extra.
Were you doing the in demand?
Yeah, I did the internet. Yeah, that was a weird one because every now and again I would get an email. Oh, you got like $100, and I'd be like, "What the hell is that from?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, so I got to fulfill an order.
My experiences with Indiegogo is that like no matter all right, so
it's tough.
It's a lot harder. I feel like the Kickstarter algorithm definitely does better.
Yes.
In my opinion. So. I've only ever like the campaigns. So I did try one with issue 2. So like my issue 1 failed obviously on Kickstarter. So I was like, okay, let's try. I'm going to put it out there myself. Go to cons, put it out. And then I tried Indiegogo with issue 2, and I did way better on my failed campaign for Kickstarter, like by thousands than I did like on, Indiegogo. So again, I came back for issue 3, for Kickstarter, and it was just like it was night and day. I mean, it was almost like and that's with no real audience,
Yeah. What I would suggest for Indiegogo is a secondary campaign. So it's like whatever you've already run on Kickstarter, I would rerun on there.
Right. And an in demand, yeah.
Right. And make it a tight, small campaign. And I wouldn't even start it off as in demand. I would just run it as a brand new campaign, just do it tight and small, 4 or 5 levels, don't stress yourself out. If you got the old video, throw it up there.
Just
like I
don't
said,
say Kickstarter.
right. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe you edit out the Kickstarter thing, but go
Hey,
in there.
back in my Kickstarter.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Well, it's funny. I got to a point where I stopped saying Kickstarter. It's just say thank you for backing my campaign. So you can use it in multiple places. But
Yeah.
that I'll be running, not my next Oswald, probably the one after that one will be I'll be running on Kickstarter first, and then towards the end I'll be running it also on IGG, but I'm gonna be doing a very small, like there'll be like 5 levels, and that's it. And I'm just gonna run it very small, very tight, and just see what happens. If I raise $500, so what? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's just an extra $500.
How
And
many
fun
issues?
fact, if you use BackerKit, so I did do an in demand for both my volumes for my trades. I just took that, like their information that they've already put into Indiegogo, and then just added them as a backer in BackerKit. So then I could just fulfill everything all together.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly.
How many issues of the Oswald Chronicles do you have?
I don't know. That's the honest. I have 5 trades so far, a 6th one going out. I got 2 more beyond that, and I
So
don't know.
you start with a new number 1 each time.
Right, because they're just each chapters in his life. So each of those graphic novels, each of those trades, you can read individually and actually not have to read the whole thing.
That's the question that I wanted to ask, because you guys are saying each number gets higher, but I feel like there has to be a limit to that. Like, I know people who have said like they've gotten up to issue like 13 or 14, sales start to drop, because the thing is nobody wants to pick up issue number 13, and also nobody wants to spend $60 or $70 buying the first 12 issues.
Oh yeah, that's definitely valid, because I'm in issue 9, and like if you look at my campaigns with Nightwolf, it's gone do, but my backer count has roughly stayed the same. But funding wise, like I got up as far as 24,000, and then now I'm back down to like, I think my last one ended up at 16. So there is, like, the higher you go, it is going to be a harder buy-in. But I also kind of like gave a little bit more of a discount on top of my catch-up tiers, because I wanted to try and encourage new readership. But you can only discount that so much.
That conventional wisdom is 100% true in a comic shop, like no question. On Kickstarter, it's less dramatic. It's accurate, but it's less dramatic. I just did Tart 16, and think we had over 400 backers. Mm-hmm. The most I've ever had is, I think, 530. So yeah, 530 is more than 400, but I'm not going to ever complain about 400 backers.
Yeah, like as long as you have like an average like backer count, you're still good. Like I said, but again, going back to like the funding, that's I think where you see it more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yes, catch-up tiers when there were 4 issues, definitely you're getting 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Catch-up tiers when there's 16 issues, you're getting 5 or 6. So that's accurate. But you're selling 16 issues, that's actually funding your campaign as much or more than the 20 or 30 people that were getting 4 issues before.
So I guess my question is, why do the bigger number? Why not start with a new number 1 when you get to the end of
that's a personal choice that when you're doing it the way JD is doing it, it is the only way to do it. That he is right. That is a guarantee.
But I have to say the Oswald Chronicles confused the shit out of me. I'm like, do I have this? I don't even know what's going on right now.
That's why now I send out checklists with all of my
because I really need to recheck, because I'm pretty sure I have doubles of something. I'm like, trucker.
Now, I before I lose he's right, because his graphic novels don't need that.
Right.
You could start a new number 1 with every arc you do and make each one a limited series of 4 issues or 5 issues and just start over. You could absolutely do that. Or you could choose to just every issue is a number and let your people go. I don't think there's a right or a wrong there.
Yeah, that's something, like, again, being the personal thing, my personal peeve about starting numbers over. Like, I hated when Marvel did that. Like, do you remember, like, when they were up into like 500s of like Thor and Spider-Man, and then they like started everything over at new numbers, and I was like, no.
Well, when Marvel and DC do it, it feels more like a gimmick.
Mhm.
Like when you've got 400 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, we're coming out with issue number 1.
Mhm.
And it's like, what's so special about this comic book? Like,
Yeah.
No. I mean, to me, that's a gimmick. But I'm saying with Beowulf, there's 6 issues of Beowulf that tells a complete story. That's what I tell people. I tell people you can read issues 1 through 6, and it's a complete story. I am working on a prequel, but you can just read these 6 issues without reading the prequel.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense to change the titles then. But like, for example, with like Kevin and myself, my story arc ends at 12, but it continues because it's an ongoing series. So it introduces the next story arc, but it continues. So for me to say, oh, I'm going to start at number 1 again after issue 12, to me doesn't make sense, because it's a continuing story. It's not a complete cutoff. And then several years later go by and something else happens. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, boom, we're continuing.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Here's the difference. See, Rob and Kevin are real smart. I started in the middle of my story, and I worked towards either end at the same time.
And it confuses the shit out of me.
But now I finally have it all together. So it's one of those things. But that's why I have a checklist. So. But But I mean, if you could work it out linearly and start from the beginning, I would always suggest that. You know,
JD didn't even Tarantino it. He just said, "I'm going to throw you in the middle like George Lucas."
Yep. Well, it was just because what it is originally they were just all supposed to be individual stories. You know, and that's what it is. Like I said, when I released the trades, in that trade is pretty much, unless it's like a big like 300-page or 207-page story, then I'll break it into 2 trades. But you know, in those volume 1, that volume 2, that's one story, and you can read that and move on. You know, and that's just how I always did it.
Yeah, and the way my mind works, let's say my first story arc is 5 issues of a thing, and the next story arc would be either issue 6 or issue 1 of the next limited series.
Right.
You're going to have to convince your readers that number 1 of a new series isn't the number 1 that they've already read in your marketing if you do the new number 1. And that's okay. You can do it, but it is something you're going to have to do. If you go to number 6, your people have read 1 through 5 go, he's got a new issue of a comic I like. If you do number 1 of your second limited series that tells the story, you've got to make sure that they know this isn't a reprint of something they already have, which isn't an issue, but you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I work it with, I have the main title, which is the Oswald Chronicles, then I have subtitles. So I have the Oswald Chronicles, My First Day. The Oswald Chronicles, Passing Queens and Making Homes. The Oswald Chronicles, When Tender Souls Mourn, so on and so forth. So people will know, you know, this is a different story. So, yeah, gentlemen, we're past our time, but it's been fantastic. All right, so let's close this puppy out. Grant, where can people find you and your work, sir?
My name is Grant Lankard, which is a very distinctive name. I think I'm literally the only Grant Lankard on any social media. Not saying that I'm the only Grant Lankard in the world, but at least who has social media. You can also go to comicsburg.com, look me up there, and you can actually buy older issues of my comic book. But better than that is go to my Kickstarter, League of Cryptids. It's a really fun little comic book. The idea is that cryptids are ancient aliens who were put here to protect and help humans develop.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Aaron, where can they find you and your work, sir?
I'm on Facebook. I've got Facebook pages for all my series, so Enenra, Blood and Fire, or Amor Patris. Amor Patris issue 2 is on Kickstarter now, so that's a great place to find me. And Instagram, Wroblewski Aaron. It's a bit of a tongue twister. I'll probably put that in the chat so you can share it out. But
show notes.
so if you can spell it, go for it.
All right, cool. Kevin, where can we find you and your work, sir?
My name's Kevin Joseph on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. You can find me Kevin Joseph CMX. And I'd love for you to check out the Kickstarter I'm running with Mike Shea of Miskatonic High. It's Tart and the Toxic Fruit meet Miskatonic High in a collectible card set. If you've never heard of either of us, the $5 PDF will get you the story. You can find out if you can meet all of our characters, find out if you love the Miskatonic High kids, find out if you love my characters. And if you don't get the PDF during the campaign, you're going to have to wait because we are not selling it until 2027 if you mix this campaign. So, FOMO, get your butt to Kickstarter.
There you go. Nice. Mr. Rob, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yes, so you can find me anywhere pretty much at Lone Wolf Comics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. Hive is one of the other ones that everybody jumped to for a minute. You can find me personally at Raw Multari on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find all my stuff at lonewolfcomics.com. My campaign has ended, so I'm not going to tell you to go there. But eventually I will have a pre-order up for a backer kit for those who missed the campaign, probably by the next show. So on to you, JD. Where can they find you, sir?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places, theoswaldchronicles.com. And most importantly, currently, Tall Tales is on Kickstarter right now. That's a book that I do with Daphne. The Oswald Chronicles will be back soon. I can fulfill the last campaign. And then Magi's Grace, again, very soon. But just remember, everybody, please check out the show notes. In those notes is everybody's links. Click those links. All of these creators are doing fantastic work. All of them doing great books. Click those links. Buy these books. Support these creators. They're all doing fantastic work. You know, and I mean, just go check them out because they're great stuff, right? So just remember, everybody, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night. Thank you and have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.